This moment was 16 years in the making. Charles Duke Tanner embracing his 18-year-old son.
Good, man. First and foremost, I want to give all the praise and glory to God. Thank you for hearing me. But President Trump, I just want to thank you for giving me a second chance and believing in me and reading my petition. I'm just so thankful. It's just 20 years ago, I fought at the Trump Casino, and now you signed to give me clemency. First, I didn't know it was real until I was able to touch this little guy right here. I left him when he was 2 years old, President Trump. You reunited me back to my family. I lost my mother and my father, but I got him, and this is what I live for. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you so much. And from the bottom of my heart, all praise and glory go to God. Thank you.
You know, they got so many rules, so your family sit across from you, or they can't touch you and certain things like that. So for us to ride back, you know, to drive home, and he was able to lay on me, even though he's 18 years old now, that moment right there felt so good to me. I'm still living off of it right now. I haven't been asleep in 2 days.
Duke Tanner spent 16 years of a double life sentence in a federal prison before President Trump granted him clemency 2 days ago.
They said the president signed off on your clemency today. So I just started sweating and praying all at the same time.
Just what type of time I'm on, man. I used to be talking to some of these little youngsters on the phone through my son through a federal penitentiary. Now I'm out here with all these guys. You know what I'm saying? And I'd like to give all the thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and President Trump. Without you, Trump, I wouldn't be here now. So now they can see live on what redemption really is. You know what I'm saying? When this right here was a piece of me, the Indiana State title I wanted at 20 years old. You know, that was 20 years ago, like right before I fought on the casino at your hotel. I'm just thankful for today, you know what I mean, with all these guys out here. I love y'all and peace out.
But it's really a business. And they're in the business of, they create laws in order to make money. So that's why when you get a speeding ticket, it costs you $119. Anything you do that breaks some kind of statute, you pay. It's just a business. It's not teaching you anything. It's not making you a better human being or anything like that. It's just a way of paying.
I needed to verify that countries are actually operating as corporations. It didn't take long to find that in the US Code, United States is defined as a federal corporation. And on the US Securities and Exchange Commission website, Canada is in fact listed as a company located in Washington, D.C.
And we go and vote every 4 years thinking we're going to change something. And anybody that's voted for any length of time knows very little changes. It just seems there seems to be an agenda that always is running in the background, and it doesn't matter who you vote in, the agenda keeps going.
So I want to give you a diagram. This is the basic idea of how a jurisdiction works. This is you. And you work at Walmart, and you work in the automotive department. And there's a manager there, and he said, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars per hour, and you have to show up here and put hours in as I say. And you go, okay, I agree to that. Now, what if the automotive guy tells you, I want you to show up on Sunday night at 2 o'clock in the morning when the store is not open? You could go to the manager of the Walmart store and say, this guy's trying to make me come in when we're not open. That's against your policy. The automotive manager cannot make you do something that's outside the jurisdiction of the Walmart store. Now, the Walmart store is in Detroit. This is a corporation. So now Walmart, because it's in Detroit, has to obey the rules of Detroit. Now, outside of Detroit is Michigan. It's a corporation, and Detroit is subject to the laws of Michigan. Now, Michigan is inside what is called the USA. It's another corporation, and Michigan is part of that corporation. Now, outside of this is the real USA, the original republic. Unfortunately, they sound the same. So people think that they're here when they've agreed to be in here. Just like you agreed to go here. And there's people that are wondering why the Constitution doesn't work in courts. Because the courts are here. So when you bring the Constitution in, they're going, that has nothing to do with us. You think you're here, but you're actually here. And that's the biggest problem. What you have to understand is this is subject to this. You just got to approach it in the right way. They don't tell you this, though. You're assuming you're here, and they will let you think that, but you're actually here. And you're there by agreement, just like Walmart. Now, there's another set of laws called the law merchant. This law merchant is a set of laws to govern what we call commercial law or admiralty law. Outside of this USA, and actually part of this Republic of USA, which is the original, this is where the Constitution is what's called the common law. So the United States was founded on the common law, as was Canada, and they are still both functioning, but you got to know how to invoke them. So once I understood this and I learned a little bit about a law merchant, and then I knew that Canada was a corporation, and I knew that the courts were just another corporation inside that, I started treating them like that. This is just business. And you guys are subject to these outside things. So as long as I'm out here, I'm above you. And so I started trying stuff. I went into court, and we usually wait outside the courtroom because I don't like doing all the bowing to the judge. It's very ritualistic. So we waited till my name got called, and we walked through the door, big door out because it got paged. They obviously called the case in the courtroom, and then when I didn't show up, they page outside. So we walked through the courtroom, and as I'm walking into the courtroom, the judge is running off the bench, full flight, cape blowing, out the door, and I went, what was that? And everybody else in the room was the same thing, like, what's going on? And so the sheriff goes, all rise? Like a question, I guess we're having a break?
Do people have lesser rights if they're represented by a lawyer or by an attorney?
Well, your rights never disappear. You waive them in order to be represented by somebody else. A judge will look at your actions. So if you come in saying, I got this right and I got that right, but you're represented by a lawyer, he's going, no, he, in his mind, he's just looking at you, no, you don't get it. You don't have those rights. You can say that all you want, but you've waived them. So he will assume that you don't have those rights, and he will make his judgments safely accordingly.
Is that why traditional legal processes, especially in issues of magnitude, such as the worldwide agenda to deploy radiating surveillance meters, is that why traditional legal processes don't seem to be successful?
Exactly. Because they've taught you to go and fight down here, play this other game in courts and all that stuff, and that's what we believe is where the remedy is, and they're just looking at you, well, sorry.
We have already seen in Take Back Your Power examples of how the system has singled out and wrongfully arrested a handful of those on the front lines. It's a tactic meant to inspire fear of speaking out. Let's hear about Cal's experience on the front lines a few years ago, which led to the foundation of this liability action.
After the judge ran off the bench, I got arrested probably about a year later for driving without insurance. They thought, well, let's go after this guy. So they arrested me at work, and I ended up doing 60 days in jail. Throughout this 60 days, my friends put in a promissory note for my incarceration because this is just a business. My incarceration has to do with money. That's all they're interested in. So they put a promissory note in and said, "Can you let our guy go?" Right? Basically paying for my incarceration. So after my 60 days, they finally found me guilty. She gave me a $1,200 fine. She tried to impose a 5-year driving prohibition, and she gave me 1 day in jail. So I said, well, if you try and give me the 5-year driving prohibition, you're going to be causing me harm. So she dropped that right away, and the prosecutor went, like, why did you do that? Because I'm treating her like a business. I'm negotiating with her. And she knew it. So she dropped that. And then I said, on the 1 day in jail, she gave me 59 days credit. So I said, I want to talk about the 59 days credit because that seems like how do I get 59 days credit, right? So I got 1 day in jail and 59 days credit. So she said, okay.
All right, this is an important point. In offering the 59 days credit, right after Cal just did 60 days, the judge publicly admitted on the record that Cal was wrongfully imprisoned. But you can't give time back, and both the judge and Cal realized this.
I said the 59 days credit that you just offered me, in business, has to equal the amount of a promissory note that was put in by my friends. And she goes, what? And I said, there was a promissory note put in by my friends. She goes, what? And everything's done in threes. And so I started to say it again, and then she goes, okay. She says, where was it put? I said, I believe it was put at 222 Main Street, where I was in the court. And she goes, okay. And where in the courtroom? I said, with the clerk of the court. She says, okay. So I said, I want the 59 days credit you just offered me to equal the promissory note that was put in. And so she said, okay. And she goes, how much was the promissory note? And I said, $300 million. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. There was a lot of lawyers in the back behind me, and they all were shocked, and she just about swallowed her tongue and put the gavel down and left the room. So I made a deal with a corporation called the Court, with the banker that's sitting on the bench. Through all that, I ended up writing a document very similar to what you're going to see. And what ended up happening was a bunch of people in high-level politics left their job without notice. What I'm showing you is a very similar document to this that has ramifications that make people in very high places very uncomfortable. I also want to show you that this jurisdictional idea actually keeps going. So the document that I've written goes into these upper jurisdictions, which are what we would call spiritual jurisdictions. Now, they're not seen, but I can tell you when you start to write documents to the Queen, etc., which I did, and call in her oath, you start to see them getting very squirmy. So you know something's there.
And will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
So when government officials in the United States, for example, swear an oath to defend the Constitution, they do so up here. But meanwhile, they're running their corporation down here and assuming we're all down there with them, because that's what our actions indicate. When we receive benefits from the state, or when we petition or appeal, or even when we vote, we are doing so down here and thus agreeing to their claim of legitimacy. So the next time the age-old question comes up, how the heck can they be getting away with this? You now have your answer. It's by our unconscious agreement. But as the system of oaths is still running up here, that tells us that the Constitution and the Republic are both still functioning.
Public officials that, like the governor, they've all taken an oath of office. They've only promised to do one thing, That's all they promise is they support, when they take an oath of office, they say, I promise to support the Constitution. All you have to do is accept their oath, and this is my strong opinion, because I'm just looking for a way to stop the madness. They've taken an oath to support the Constitution. If you accept their oath in writing, then they're obligated, there's a contract between the two of you. So if they don't honor your constitutional rights when you put them on notice, in my strong opinion, through my research, then they're not protected by their title. They're personally liable because they've stepped outside their role.
So once we're aware of this, we can then operate from up here. We can call any government agent on their oath, and we can invoke their liability. By the way, this is the same setup in Canada and virtually every country. We'll learn more in episodes to come, but for now, let's investigate more into how all this is actually working on the ground.
Considering that there's all these amazing results happening from Cal's experiences with the system, could it be that there's more going on than just coincidences?
You look back at all the coincidences that I had, it's staggering. So you even the most analytical mind would go, no, there's something going on here. So that's why I kept going forward with certain things and dropping other things, because I could see what was working. We learned a deeper commerce, which is very similar to what notice of liability is, and through that process, once I got to the default stage, that's when a few people left office. 2 ministers of finance, and possibly at least 2 others, but 2 for sure were knee-jerk. About 8:30 in the morning, I got a call from a friend, and he goes, "Do you have anything to do with Kevin Fulton?" And I went, "Faxed him something last night." He said, "Well, he stepped down this morning." I said, "Well, it might be a coincidence, but this is before 9 o'clock. Like, he's out of there. It's on the news, right?" By the end of the day, I think 3 others had stepped down, and by the end of the week, 16 were not seeking re-election. So then I got the federal type people involved and saying, okay, now your office, here's what your mandate is. You have to do this, and if you see a crime in progress, you have to do something about it if your position has that as part of its mandate. So that's how I implicated all the federal people, because here's a crime in progress, you need to do something. Mm-hmm. They didn't. So they went into default. And that's when the clerk of the Privy Council stepped down.
Do you ever have any people like on judges or politicians or people like within that box encourage what you're doing? Maybe they're wanting to get out of it, but they wanted to support what you're doing?
This is even in the beginning. I had some judges, because of the questions I was asking, I had one judge go, "You seem very sophisticated, keep going." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I didn't understand what that even meant, right? But she could see that I was asking the right questions that would get to the root of the problem. And she said, "Keep going." And I had police officers who would shake my hand at the end of our encounter and also say, "Keep going, I know what you're doing, keep going."
So the smart meter agenda is a worldwide thing. It's operating above countries. It's happening worldwide. It's not just happening in Kelowna. It's not just happening in BC. It's not just happening in Canada. It's going all over the globe at one time. So that means it's coming from some place that's outside of the idea of a country. So you got to understand that. This is coming from a very high level.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because
on Sunday, October the 25th, U.S. Incorporated was officially defunct, and the United States of America was restored to the original constitutional republic. On Thursday, the 29th of October, President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, exposed Joe Biden 30-year crime spree, where he used U.S. taxpayer dollars to bribe foreign countries out of millions and then stashed the monies for his own use in Swiss bank accounts. Charlie Ward was given 1,500 court documents proving the Obamas, the Bidens, the Clintons, the royal family's theft of trillions from South Africa. Those documents were available on his website. Friday, October the 30th, U.S. General William Barr met with Joe Biden and recommended he withdraw from the race or face criminal charges. The Federal Bureau of Investigations has received intel from a Biden family, about a Biden family 30-year crime spree while Joe Biden held public office, including his tenure as Vice President of the U.S. On Wednesday, October 28th, Hunter Biden turned himself into the Federal Bureau of Investigations and later signed a written confession about the Biden crime family. Trump was not the only one who held the responsibility to flip the RV button. The Department of Defense and 5 top elders had ultimate responsibility. According to Charlie Ward, that election would be done on the new transparent quantum computer voting system. U.S. citizens would be able to vote on their computer or phone. The ballot would be thoroughly vetted and results would be instantaneously counted and released. If Biden withdrew from the race, under NACERA guidelines, a new election for U.S. president would have to be held within 120 days of Sunday, October 25th, or by March 2021. Somewhere here I just read that Biden would either have to step down from the race or face charges. Hang on. Meanwhile, the National Guard in all 50 states has been called to active duty. They were expecting attempts by Deep State, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter anarchists at rioting and violence in urban areas post-election. The National Guard, active military units, and federal and local law enforcement personnel have been deployed to contain it. If things got out of hand, they would instigate martial law. By March 2021, we have been promised to see exposure of names of the global and political elites and who have been charged, tried, and convicted of numerous crimes against humanity, including videos of their taped confessions in Gitmo. All right, you guys. Thank you to all of you for your support to us here for this channel. For those of you with tickets, citations, mortgages, foreclosures, child support cases, and those of you in for non-violent offenses, and those of you with warrants, and those of you having to see an agent doing business as parole officer, as well as those of you in for non-violent offenses. You can email us for the GSA bond templates, also the to set off the matter also for the 1099 OID to get back the finances they claimed you owed for the child support cases, mortgages, foreclosures, student loans, auto loans, what have you. Also for the international promissory note, the international bills of exchange, the fraudulent conveyance of language laws, the do not detain affidavit. We suggest you guys go to the Vital Statistics Office to get the certificate of live birth, so you're declared alive for the first time, even though we already made a public affidavit here spiritually for everybody to be free, right? Hence why the U.S. corporation is now defunct and we return to the republic. So what we're praying for now, in addition to, you guys can write to us for the Chain to the Sky book, so you can learn to make U.S. postal money orders, also for the what else? Oh, our book, Time is the Master, Time is the Key, and the Herbology book. You can write to us for those, right? I'd like to say a quick prayer. Heavenly Father God, we pray, we just want to thank you for this day. And we want to put a hedge of protection around all that is good globally, Donald Trump, the Army, the Navy, the military, and the Marines. Attention Office of the International Criminal World Court, the Army, the Navy, the military, the Marines, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. The United States Federal Trade Commission, Clearinghouse Department, and Antitrust Department. Also, Louis DeJoy doing business as Postmaster General. Also, Joseph Otting doing business as head for the Comptroller of Currency. Also, Jay Clayton doing business as Securities and Exchange Commissioner. And also the Universal Postal Union heads. I come to you in good faith in one's proper person, as a living flesh and blood sentient being, Suri, Jurisuri, heiress, heir to the world's vast estate, Moabite, Hittite, Canaanite, Queen, Empress, Reubenite tribe chief, American Indian, allodial title Moorish American national, UCC 1-308, holding the highest diplomatic office, AA 222141, 449-59344. I come to you in good faith. Here and for the record, I stand my ground and command and order and demand you go now to the heads in Canaanite land, Canada, all the agents doing business as mayors in Canaanite land, Canada, in so-called, is it the Hastings area, Belleville area, Madoc area, Tweed area, Toronto area. Round them up for treason and fraud and genocide this night, for theft, for war crimes against humanity. As you know, that we've served here, all those agents prior, using the very same information we were shared, and also we served it to the mayor here in this territory known as Northern Mariana Islands. Use the duty to accommodate for those of us made disabled as they're in default. As stated in the video we're sharing earlier, they're in default, they're in default. Now, as you know, we've also served them information regarding our $9 billion international copyright fee and our $1 billion copyright fee that we have registered with the Library of Congress, and also all of our other clearances. You're going to go now and run them up for treason, fraud, and genocide this night, for war crimes against humanity, right? As our trust that we've now made publicly and served to them. Her name was Kathleen Wynne, doing business as minister in Canaanite land, Canada, stands as law, true fact, unrebutted, right? As notice to agent is notice to principal, notice to principal is notice to agent, and to all heirs and assigns. Now, what had happened to us here, as you know, we were traveling. When we first took over this particular location, we were told while traveling that they had to put a smart meter on the property, on this this particular domicile. Since then, all stuff that we have is in trust. So we had asked them to remove all the smart meters and stuff, including the properties in Canaanite land, Canada. Then we were subjected to all kinds of undue harm, right? All kinds of harm by these agents. Go now and round them up and have all the smart meters globally rounded up from all the people's houses that are causing radiation, right? That we have now discovered in lieu of the so-called, what they claim to be climate change, and those so-called fires done by DARPA. So we know that you've shared with us that you took down that particular mode of destruction, but now you have to remove the smart meters as well, and the corruption from that's causing the people harm globally, right? So do that now on our behalf. And if we're restored to the Republic, we need to see the minister, the agent doing business as the company here, known as the Transport Authority agents. We need to see all of them rounded up for treason, fraud, and genocide on the people in this territory, right? As you know, that the people did not receive any of the so-called stimulus. The $100 that they received, the few of them that received it, that had so-called identification, as you know, our people here, a lot of them don't have any said identification, and so they got nothing aside from what we were able to provide by the grace of Almighty God. So we're asking you now to round them up for treason, fraud, and genocide on the people here as heirs, right? And to go now and have the agent doing business as head maintenance officer go and lift up the wire that's hanging in front of this domicile for the past week now. As you know, we tried to get in touch with Jamaica Public Service heads to no avail, and also Flow Lime to no avail. So you're going to send someone out to lift up that wire, as it's a safety hazard to the children and the people in this territory, right? In addition to that, you can see the massive sinkholes as a result of the weather warfare that was going on with the excessive rains has now caused some major flood holes in the back laneway. So you're going to have to go and get the mall and the cement and the rough sand and the workers to go and repair that this night. There's 2 massive sinkholes that we see there, and also on the roadway has to be repaired again, though we had just repaired it recently, right? So you're going to go and fix that up. Get the agent doing business as maintenance head, responsible for the roadway, to do that for us immediately, and also uplift this wire here too, right? And as you know, it's caused damage. This weather warfare has caused damage to the roof again here. So charge them up, have them send us the finances for that stuff so we can get the roof here again repaired from the same weather warfare heads. Go and do that for us now. Now, Shoppers Drug Mart agent just reported to us, thank you to the powers that be that shared this with us this night. Jeff Ledger, named Shoppers Drug Mart president. Go and speak with this agent doing business as, it says Mike Moats, promoted to Chief Operating Officer of Loblaws. Go and speak to this Chief Mike Moats. Explain to him that the post office box that we have at Shoppers Drug Mart in Canaanite land, Canada, is in no way, shape, or form to be interfered with. And to make sure everything that's been sent to there, we receive it here immediately. Right? As we have already claimed that as executrix for this office due to the said organ harvesting we were subjected to and my spouse was subjected to. So see to it now that Shoppers Drug Mart is in honor, right? Across the entire province of Ontario and globally, right? They're doing operations in the rest of Canaanite land, Canada. Make sure they're operating in honor so the people can enter Shoppers Drug Mart who don't have a mask and don't want to be tested with their thermometer kits and bleach, because people are reporting to us that they're being harmed by these corporations pretending to be doctors and pretending to be law enforcement, which they're not. Going around their asses up this night for treason and genocide, right? And see to it the people can function lawfully across this entire globe without having to worry about masks and all this corruption, and shut that ship down immediately. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to this matter. By Noble Honorable Ange L. Ina D. Alfred L. Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, Allotted Tuttle Moorish American National. Also, you're going to go to TD Bank Head Chief, and you're going to get back from them all the promissory notes and international bills of exchange and the bills of exchange that I created for them in the millions. You're going to send that back to me this night, including the ones I sent over to Canada Revenue Agency, right? Send those back to me immediately. Thank you for that. All of them, the 9 billion, 9 billion, 9 billion, send it back to me now. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to this matter. By Noble Honorable Ange Elena D. Alfred L. Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, Allotted Tuttle Moorish American National, UCC 1-308, without recourse, all rights reserved. I stand by the Book of Ruth, by my deceased husband, Jackson. Nono no ko e takanai nana ka takanai te ki nena na ka e nana no ko o nina na ka e takanala te korono te ki nana na ka e nana no ko te korola te ka, and make certain that Vilma Florence Cisse is free. Patricia has her stuff back. James has his stuff back. And all the people that reported to us that they are being subject to the very same corruption that these agents doing business as Canaanite Land Canada heads have subjected them to, and go and round up that agent doing business as Attorney General in Canada. Go and do that for us now. Use a duty to accommodate to deal with that situation immediately. For treason, racketeering, fraud, war crimes against humanity, and estate theft, right? And see to it the people are set free this night using this republic, right? Find them, give them back their stuff, all their houses and stuff that was stolen from them, all their automobiles that were stolen from them, give it back to them this night and restore their families, right? Because their families, as you know, were completely destroyed by these so-called agents doing business as Canaanite Land Canada heads. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to this matter. By Noble Honorable Ange L. Ina D. Alfred L. Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, Allotted Tuttle Moorish American National, UCC 1-308, without recourse, all rights reserved. I stand by the Book of Ruth, by my deceased husband, Jackson. Nono no ko i takranai, nono no ko kaina na kai, nono no ko te korono te koni na ki, nana na ka ai nana no ko te korono te kananai te ka, nena na kai nana no ko te korono, and compensate us all for all this harm that's been created by these agents, right? Now here's some more pictures they sent to us. Here's one of the Kennedys, right? Here's Haile Selassie as Freemason, Scottish Highlands. You guys can see this map, right? Hang on. This was the anatomy of the honeybee. I'm wondering if that's our anatomy too, eh? These were Comanche Indian groups. I don't know if these are people, or because the hair looks like a wig. I know they were scalping our heads at one point and doing a lot of corruption that way. Ponca Tribe Adoption, Wisconsin Historical Society. Trust is like glass. Once broken, it will never be the same again. Iroquois Nationals. We win, you win. This is one of the Kennedys. I want to say Robert Kennedy. With Haile Selassie. I don't know who this is. I don't know if that was Haile Selassie, because a lot of these people were men. Could have been women. I don't know. Dave McGarry, Blackfoot moccasins. I thought this was really interesting. Man is the moon, is the sun. The woman is the moon. The baby is a star. The man is the sun. The woman is the moon. The baby is a star. Because we're all of it, right? British invasion of Richmond, January 1781. Cherokee alphabet or syllabary. British invasion of Richmond, January 1781. On January 4, 1781, British troops led by Brig General Benedict Arnold landed at Westover in Charles City County and began marching to Richmond. Learning of the threat, Governor Thomas Jefferson directed the removal of public records and military stores to safety before evacuating the capital. On January 5th, Arnold's troops easily dispersed colonial forces arranged on defensive positions here on Church Hill and Shockey Hill and occupied Richmond for 24 hours before returning the following day to Westover. The British burned some private buildings and public storehouses containing military supplies and destroyed the foundry and some public records at nearby West Ham. Cherokee alphabet syllabary. Interesting, eh? Victor Moore, the man who beat them all. Forgotten Fury. Bruce Lee. Yeah, he was one of us people, apparently. Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, Joe Louis, Superfoot Wallace. Forgotten Fur. First black national karate champion. She was, I think, the wife for Haile Selassie, right? Empress Menem of Ethiopia, the wife of Haile Selassie. Why is it so hard to believe this is who they saw in America when they got off the boats? It was us people. The Moors, the American Indians, the original indigenous people, a so-called black man. There's Haile Selassie. This is September 12, 1974. Haile Selassie of Ethiopia is deposed following the military coup by the Derg, ending a reign of 58 years. Howling with the Wolves. This was a book. I think I have this book about, I think it's a lot of women and how powerful we are. Ebony, what women notice about men. Haile Selassie was on Ebony. The Private Life of Emperor Selassie. 1955. Emperor Haile Selassie. 1955. Alfred Eisenstadt. Most people don't know this incredible palace is hiding in Indiana. There's Haile Selassie again. I loved America before it was called America. Timbuktu, Indian country, right? And a whole bunch of other names probably. Morocco Maghreb, the North Gate. Seek Unity and Peace by Haile Selassie. I noticed, as noted in your agenda, you are to consider the problem of peace because the world today is facing a great dilemma. The catastrophic weapons which are the result of human ingenuity menace the world to point of annihilation. In this fact, we have another ground for cooperation with all the churches of the world. As the followers of Christ, let us not forget how often our cause has suffered through disunity. Remember, you guys, to support us here, go to PayPal at themullings@gmail.com. We do ask for $1 for each of these videos. If you guys want to send us more, we greatly appreciate it. And thank you to all of you for your support to us here, for us to continue our work and our research. for everybody to be free globally. Spanish Town, east of this point was Spanish Town, laid out in 1805 by Carlos du Grandpré, governor of Spanish West Florida, for Canary Islanders from Galvez Town, that they might continue to live on Spanish soil and help to defend the fort. Spanish Town. What does that say? Nord? Road, maybe? There's a Spanish Town here in Jamaica, too. Haile Selassie, active. Archive Entertainment on Wire Image. Holton Royal Collection. What did they say? Prince Charles was Haile Selassie's son. I'd rather walk alone on a path of truth than to stand among the mentally enslaved that refuses to critically think for themselves. There he is again. So he might have been good. Maybe they changed him to a clone or something. These young people face a world beset with the most effectively organized program of deceptive propaganda and of thinly screened operations ever known. Haile Selassie. Emperor Haile Selassie's throne, National Museum, special chair. Civil War Hospital. This house was built in 1823 as a riverfront hotel. In the Civil War, it was used as a military hospital, and in World War I, it was used as a canteen by the troops from Camp Knox. All right, this is some kind of a tree that looks like it's been carved out with these guys in it. Property of the DRT Library Collection. This is the Alamo in the oldest image of Texas. Haile Selassie again. Here's again. 9 types of muscle tension caused by trapped emotions. Shoulder tension equals burdens and responsibility. Neck tension, fear and repressed self-expression. Upper back means grief, sorrow, sadness. Middle back means insecurity and powerlessness. Lower back means guilt, shame, and unworthiness. Stomach pain means inability to process emotions. Anyone who may wish to profit himself alone from the knowledge given him, rather than serve others through the knowledge he has gained from learning, is betraying knowledge and rendering it worthless. Haile Selassie. Curls, Neck, and Bremo. This was a rebellion. William Randolph purchased 480 acres of Beacon's land in Curls Neck in 1700. Tribes of Israel, the Great Sea, Zebulun, East Manasseh, Aram, Benjamin, Gad, Ephraim, Simeon, Edom, Judah, Issachar, Manasseh, Ephraim. Stellar African Cosmos, Stellar Arts, Andy Gammon, West Indies. Every act of love is a stepping stone towards Jah Rastafari. African divine horns of Het Heru worn in her form. Asut, mother of Heru, Kashite, Kemetis. Okay. And these were some Chinese martial artists. I think she was the first successful tennis star. Althea Gibson, is that her name? Is Twitter, it's what? Okay, did Haile Selassie have a stamp? La vie au grand air. I guess this is the first real bikist. Rochester Whirlwind Enduring Legacy. I don't know his name. The reward for the job well done is not in the recognition of others, nor in public praise. Neither is it to be measured solely by the monetary return earned by the workman. It comes rather in the inner satisfaction that accompanies the knowledge that the work accomplished represents the best of which we are. All right, you guys, we did these ones already. Like, share, subscribe. You guys have yourself a great day. Remember to write to us here for the GSA bonds to set off matters, the international promissory notes, the international bills of exchange. And yes, you guys, faith without works is dead. We did everything by faith. We didn't have all this information. We had a Bible. And by the grace of God, we prayed and wrote the scriptures. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It is the law, Matthew 7:12. And so that's what we were raised with. We asked them to come clean, come correct. Do they have an oath of office? Do they have to honor that oath of office? Do they have to abide by the Constitution, the Iroquois Confederation, and the original Constitution? Our forefathers and foremothers set up for them to do commerce on our lands. Like, share, subscribe. You guys have yourself a great day. Remember to subscribe to the new channel, Noble L II. You can also go back to our old channel, Noble L. And remember to give these videos a thumbs up and have yourself a great day.